Shalom, Israel, Shalom. Part 2. This is part 2, the continuation of Strangers and Who Are They? By the Elder Apostles of GMS. Shalom, Israel.
Right? And if you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, but then you break them, you start committing adultery, or you start going, maybe if you really start going into the custom of the other nations, and doing all the everything that goes against the scriptures, that breaks the law, like I said, adultery and all that, then your circumcision becomes uncircumcision. You become like a heathen. That's why you had the Jews back then that were chasing the apostates out of Israel, out of Jerusalem, and they were running up to where? Samaria. So you had Israelites that were cast outs, that were called heathens basically by the other Jews that were living in Jerusalem and in the surrounding areas of Israel. So they ran where? And to where them heathens were at. And they were basically they were cast out. They were like strangers. you know so if you claim to keep the law and you break the law, then your circumcision is made uncircumcision. Okay. It says, therefore the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law. So now if you in turn, if you have an Israelite that's going off, that's considered to be a heathen by the Jews, right? And then he comes back and he starts keeping the law. Shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? Why? Because now he's being renewed by the spirit of his mind. He's being born again. He's being brought back. He's becoming that prodigal son. So that only applies to Israel. Okay? It says, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law. Why? Because here it is, you got this man that went off. He became a stranger. He was an Israelite foreigner, and then he came back and he started keeping the laws and started building himself back up. But then he sees you that claim to keep the law, but you're breaking the law. He's gonna tell it. He's gonna say, look, man, what you telling everybody else to keep the law, but you ain't keeping the law, man. What the hell is wrong with you? That's why it says here, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law. So he's going to bring judgment upon you. Why? Because it's the same thing. Because when you read up above this in Romans 2, the very beginning of this chapter, it tells you that you're unexcusable. Because whatever you judging somebody by, you're doing the same exact thing. That's why Paul went into breaking this down. That's why now you understand why Peter said that the things that Paul wrote, some things are hard to be understood. Because when you read this, if the Lord is not guiding you, and you don't have the right teacher to teach you, you're going to get all messed up with certain of these scriptures. All right. Now the word nature here, right, is from the word phuseos, as you see here. Now I'm going to show you that too, because I want to show you a point that, because it says here, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature. Now, when you read that, it sounds like it's talking about somebody of another nation, but it's not. It's just like with Jake today, right? Like when you do something either whether it's joking around or whatever, or whether it's something that Jake don't agree with, what's the first thing usually Jake says? You weren't brought up right, man. Your parents didn't bring you up right. You weren't taught the right way. That's why it says here, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature. Why? Because from the time that they were born, they weren't taught right. They weren't brought up the right way. They weren't brought up in the law, statutes, and commandments. So that's why they were uncircumcision by nature. Now I'm gonna show you that. This is phusis or phuses, and this is the actual word that's there in the in Romans 2:27. It says nature, the nature of things, the force, laws, orders of nature, as opposed to what is monstrous, abnormal, perverse, as opposed what has been produced by the art of man, the natural branches. See, the natural branches is talking about the Israelites that didn't, fall away. It says, an example, branches by the operation of nature. Birth, physical origin. So basically, birth, physical origin means that look, you weren't brought up right, man. Now I'm gonna give you an example. When you go during the time of this guy Antiochus Epiphanes, he had given a decree that we weren't supposed to keep the laws, that we're not supposed to circumcise our children. We couldn't read the law. We, our people had to eat pork and all them different abominations and sacrifice unto their gods. And you had Israelites that were with it, so they stopped circumcising their children. So what happened when they had children and their children were born? They taught them to keep the customs of the other nations. And then when those children grew and they had children, they taught them the same thing. So what happened? They weren't taught right. They were uncircumcised by nature. Why? Because from the moment of their conception, that when they grew up, they weren't circumcised. They weren't taught the law, statutes, and commandments. They were taught the law, statutes, and commandments of the other nations. And that's what it means here when you read here, it says, "And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law." Because the other nations are heathens automatically. They're heathens automatically. This is talking about an Israelite foreigner that comes back to keep the laws. Then his uncircumcision is made circumcision, meaning he's brought back into the fold. And we're going to get another scripture on that, but I just want to finish reading this here. It says, birth, physical origin. You wasn't brought up right, boy. Your mother didn't raise you right, or your daddy didn't raise you right. A mode of feeling and acting which by long habit has become nature, the sum of innate properties and powers by which one person differs from others, distinctive native peculiarities, natural characteristics, the natural strength, ferocity, and intractability of beasts. So even in here, distinctive native peculiarities, because the Jews in Jerusalem, they were of one fashion, of one manner. The Israelite foreigners that were coming from these different lands, they were of another fashion. Some of them might have been wearing, they might have knew they were Israelites, but they were still wearing the garbs of the land where they lived at, whether it was for work or whatever the case was. But then you had those that was fully into it. They was fully submerged into the law, statutes, and commandments of the other nations, and they became strange. All right. Now, I want to go here to the book of Romans 11:11, and I'm going to end it off on this scripture here, because if you don't understand that these scriptures are only dealing for Israel, then you're basically wasting your time. This is not for you. And we got scoffers out there. They be the first ones to watch the videos and talk shit. But it's like, you could tell that they got demons on them, because here it is. Like, I can watch a few brothers camp. I watch a few videos here, there, Elder Tahar's video, and Elder Gabar's videos, and I'll watch, certain other videos. But after a while, it's all right, that's enough. I gotta go do something else, whether it be looking up, whatever, okay? But these demons that claim they hate us so much, they watch every freaking video we put up, man. Every fucking video we put up, they fucking watch. That's how you know they got demons. Because you can't sit there and watch every video. You watch a good amount, but after a while, okay, that's enough. Let me take some notes, or let me do something else. Then I can come back later and watch some more of it. They watch every motherfucking video we put up. I wouldn't be surprised if they watch every video from every camp. That's how demonic these niggas are. But that's all right though. It's good. It's beautiful. Because the Lord said this was going to happen. He said it was going to happen. So the Most High said he's not a man that he should lie. Right? So now, you know what? I'm just going to go straight to the point on this. And you brothers could read through this if you want. Romans 11 chapter is not talking about the heathens of the other nations. All right? It's talking about the Israelite foreigners. All right. Matter of fact, I'll just read through it real quick. Romans 11:11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? This is talking about the Jews that were in Jerusalem. Did they stumble that they should fall? Because David made that prayer to let their table become a snare, right? And then when you read up above that, the first verse on down, Paul was speaking to the Israelites that were in Rome. He said, look, the Most High didn't cast away his people that he foreknew. Because I'm an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. So basically he was telling them, I'm not a Jew. Because back then the mindset was that only the Jews could be delivered, because only the Jews stayed true to the path, so to speak. So Paul said, look, if that's the case, that this is called extrapolation. If that's the case, then I'm not going to make it, because I'm a Benjamite. I'm not a Jew. It doesn't say it that way, but when you read it, why did he tell him he was from the tribe of Benjamin? And why did he tell him that the Most High didn't forsake the people that he foreknew? because the Jews were, when you read 2 Kings the 17th chapter, it tells you that those Jews that only the tribe of Judah was there, that the Most High accepted, but eventually he got rid of all the tribes.